Hello everyone, BlenderGuy15 here, and welcome to a different kind of video, I guess. Now, I know it's been a while since I've recorded anything, and my background looks all different, but don't worry. I'll have a vlog coming out soon, I guess, within the next few days. I'll be recording it right after this video, but it won't come out until maybe tomorrow or something. I'll have a vlog about what I have planned and everything, how everything's going along, so you'll see everything going on. So, today's video, let me grab my phone here, is going to be, if you've read the title obviously, my personally recommended top 10 Zootopia fanfictions. Yes, I used all of those in a sentence. My top 10 Zootopia fanfictions. Okay, I'm also going to take a moment to say that even though these are in a top 10 list, with one being sort of the best, it doesn't mean any of these stories are really better than the other. All of these stories are so incredibly amazing that I'm only judging mainly based on emotional value to me. What I mean by that is that some of these have hit me harder than others, and that's what I'm judging them on. But I recommend all of these the same. You should go read every single one of these, because they are all amazing. I will not be rating these on grammatical or typographical grammar and spelling errors. I can't speak words, because a lot of these mistakes actually don't deter from the story. So anyway, now that I have that, let's get on with stuff. These are my personal recommendations. I'll leave a link in the description. I'll bring up a little picture here with annotation for you to click, and then at the very end card I'll have all the fanfictions for you to click in case you missed them and you don't want to go down to my description, or if you're, not using a mobile phone, because the annotation's stuck on that. Number 10, The Strongest Bonds by BlenderGuy15. And yes, I am BlenderGuy15. Basically what I'm saying is that this is my story, and this is why I was a little iffy to put it on there, because it's like I'm tooting my own horn. I am screaming to the world my praise for my story. I just feel like putting it in here, because I actually really like it. Not only because I wrote it, but because it helped introduce me to this awesome community. So, what I'm going to do for each of these stories is I'm going to read out the summary, and then I'm going to give you, I'm not going to spoil the story, but I'm going to tell you the basis of the story as far as I know. Some of them haven't gone very far yet. So, summary. 2 years after the Night Howler case, Nick and Judy's relationship has grown very strong, especially after Nick proposed. But after investigating a series of robberies, Nick and Judy stumble upon what could be the repercussions of Bellwether's work. ... Rated T for violence and Nick and Judy fluff. Okay, whenever I first watched Zootopia, I fell in love immediately. It is one of the best Disney movies ever. In fact, Wreck-It Ralph and Zootopia are my two all-time favorite movies, and nothing else can touch them ever, no matter how funny they are. After Zootopia was finished, I was like, there are probably some good fanfictions out there. And I found a couple. Reading those other stories finally got me to write this story. This isn't my first writing project. It's my first public writing project. But I have written a few stories before for National Novel Writing Month, aka NaNoWriMo, and those have been really fun for me to do. And so I have a touch of experience in writing. I'm still getting better with the more I write, but this wasn't my first rodeo. The Strongest Bonds, as you read by the summary, I ship Nick and Judy hard. It opens up with their wedding, and then the next chapter I get straight into, well, no, I don't get straight into, but I bring up the main plot. There is a series of robberies that hits Zootopia, mainly banks, but also to a smaller scale different florist shops. And so, Chief Bogo puts Nick and Judy on the case of the robbed florist shops because of the location of the florist shop. They are in a general vicinity of the banks that were robbed, so Chief Bogo has a sneaking suspicion that the bank robberies are a distraction for whatever's going on at the florist shop, or one way or the other. So Nick and Judy start questioning florists. They get some news that certain seeds have been stolen, but they're not exactly sure what seeds. And then, I can't even remember my own story. After a little bit of investigating, Nick and Judy get the call that an animal has gone savage again, and with that they find out that there is a new Nighthowler serum out. Not just the old Nighthowler serum from Zootopia, it's a whole new formula that the antidote that Zootopia's city has won't work on it. Once they figure this out, it's only a matter of time for Nick and Judy to find the perpetrator before the city gets sent back into the savage outbreak that it was. Interesting storyline, not 100% original, because I'm pretty sure if other people have done that, or I haven't read stories, but I've read summaries of other people that have done that. But a lot of people have really liked my story. Like, I was surprised at how many people would actually come around, read my story, and like it. I mean, there are just no words for how that feels. Sure, it makes my ego boost just a little bit. I've enjoyed writing it immensely. I suggest you enjoy reading it as well. There, I've got my ego out now. Number 9 is 100 Kisses by Cimar of Turalis, WildeHopps. This is a awesome one-shot series that I'm actually co-authoring and co-writing. In fact, I've written, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of the 34 chapters. So it's actually really fun to write with Cimar. It's just great. Anyway, the summary. How about a wager? If you don't like me after 100 surprise kisses, then I have to do whatever you want me to do for a day. But if you do like me, the fox grinned, then you had to wear something for me. We have a deal? Judy looked at Nick's outstretched paw. This would be the easiest bet she ever made. So basically, this one-shot series includes Nick and Judy fluff, kisses, surprise kisses at that, lots of hilarity, references like you would not believe, and more hilarity. With each chapter, there's a different scenario. And within each scenario, Nick and Judy try to surprise kiss each other. It starts out with Nick starting the bet with Judy, where if she doesn't like him after 100 surprise kisses, he has to do whatever he wants, but if she does like him, then she has to wear something for him. And so it starts out the first 3 chapters where only Nick is really the one getting the kisses in. By chapter 4, Judy decides that she's not going to stand for this humiliation, and she's going to get in on some of the action to humiliate Nick. So now, the bet is between Nick and Judy. The first one to 100 surprise kisses wins. And so, after that, so much hilarity ensues. We have everything from a sparring match to insane parking ticket competitions to cleaning duty to a whole Lady and the Tramp based episode written by yours truly that turns into the dating arc for the whole thing. Anyway, so it's really fun to write. It's still in progress. I cannot give any information about what happens if either one wins, so ha 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 on you if you really want to. If you want to find out, just stick with it. We do daily updates as best we can, and we've been doing that pretty well, except for whenever Cimar went on his 1 week, 10-day Swedish trip or whatever. So everything's been going A-okay, and it's been an insane amount of fun to work on this story. Cimar, thank you. Alright, next one. Shower thoughts on rude neighbors and how to deal with them by EagerImmediately. This one's kind of a guilty pleasure, just because this one isn't written for kids at all. But it is so well written, though. What this story does differently, it is just an emotional ride that you will want to go on forever and ever and ever and ever. Let me read you the summary. Nick and Judy are woken up in the middle of their night by their obnoxiously loud neighbors. Following her on the way to the shower, the fox decides to pay her a little surprise visit. It's a one-shot. Basically starts out with Judy having a dream of being married to Nick and having a nice little, a nice life. She's cooking breakfast, the fox is really charming, everything. Then she wakes up from her dream because of darn Bucky and Pronk. She had just spent a wonderful night with Nick, and now it's ruined by Bucky and Pronk playing paw ball, which I think is football. Because whenever I think of paw ball, I keep thinking of kickball. I don't know. It probably is football. Anyway, she goes to take a shower because they're about to go to work, and Nick joins, and then it becomes very steamy shower times, but it's so beautifully written. You understand what's going on, but it doesn't throw it in your face with very vulgar descriptions of what's going on. And to top it off, they implement one of the most gorgeous songs I've ever heard into the into the story. It implements Unchained Melody by Righteous Brothers. I suggest you go listen to that, because after I read this, I had to go listen to it, and
goodness.
It is amazing. Yeah, and then it ends very hilariously with Bucky and Pronk interrupting them, and then Nick almost going savage as he yells them out. It's so well written. I love it to death. It's how that concept of Nick and Judy should be written. Next one. Sustained Injuries by BlindStrike. Now, this is a relatively new one. It will screw with your emotions like no tomorrow. Now, I'm actually helping edit this one, but I still have no idea where the story's going, but in a good way. Let me read you the summary. I used to be different. I smiled. I laughed. I hustled. But not anymore. Times change, and so do the animals. But it's not the time that changes us. It's the things that happen to us, the things others do to us. When I finally find the one who caused me all this pain and all this suffering, he will pay no matter what. A dark thriller with Nick as the main character. Okay, so as far as I know, it's only 2 chapters in. I'm helping edit the 3rd chapter right now. Basically, a police raid goes wrong. Nick and Judy get brutally beat up, like on the cusp of death beat up. Nick fares a little bit better than Judy, and while they're in the hospital, Judy goes into critical condition, and as far as we know, she could be dead. And that's what's hurting me, because I don't know if she's alive or not, and it's hurting me. But that's what you want to do. If BlindStrike, if that's your goal, then you're doing something right. Keeping people in the blue. Yes, keeping it unknown. Even the small hints that he makes in the chapters that she could be alive, I can't trust those. I know all of it could be a lie, and Judy is dead. It's well written, awesome premise in chapter 2.
Goodness.
It's awesome. You have to go read it. This needs a bigger audience than what it has. I can tell that this will get dark, and this will get good. So yeah, go read it. Next one. A New Face in Town by Nurthgar. I hope I pronounced your username correctly. Frig. Sorry. Holy crap. This is great. Officers Judy Hopps and Nick Wilde are the best members of the ZPD. No case they come across goes unsolved. That is, until a series of vigilante attacks is brought to the ZPD's attention. But what happens when this new figure brings word of a larger disaster looming over Zootopia? There are so many things that this story does right that I could make this like I could make this a much longer video and describe it. I will try to shorten that down. I am fidgety as a fidgety refrigerator. It starts out simple. Some nice Nick and Judy fluff going on, teasing each other. Nick tries to go get some coffee, spills all over himself at Snarlbucks, and still manages to get Judy her carrot smoothie. Screw you, charger that keeps getting unplugged. And then they get word of a broad florist. After a while, they meet the vigilante and continue chasing him. And no matter what, they can never seem to stop him. And so, I don't want to give anything away, so I'll have to keep these last two. I won't talk too much about the last 2 chapters, except that Nick and Judy figure out the identity of the Masked Fox, and the Masked Fox is a total boss, awesome person, because he is so darn cool. And in the last chapter, we're introduced to a group of assassins that may be working for the larger threat that the Masked Fox has revealed to Nick and Judy. I woke up one morning and I had the email from Nurthgar asking if he could reference my story and his story by means of using Mr. Hunt, Ron, and Domestically Exotic Mr. Hunt's flowers for every occasion. That is my main villain's lackey, and their sort of base of operations. And I was like, dude, totally use them. Yeah, it was fun reading this because he used them as his own characters in the best way. I was reading these guys, and all I could think about was that how, man, this guy's evil in my story. He seems like a mild-mannered florist. Even Ron was sort of fidgety and, you know, jumpy because of the whole trauma and everything. It was very well done. Same people, different characters, and oh my gosh, really well done. Really shows the creativity and using his own perspective on things. So that was really great. Anyway, it's a great, amazing story, and it also needs a bigger audience, just like Sustained Injury. So go read it. It's worth it. Trust me. Next one. Tough Love by Matteoarts. I hope I pronounced your username correctly. Yeah. Life for Nick and Judy hasn't always been easy, especially not while under the gaze of Zootopia's occasionally judgmental eyes. They now think over all of the troubles they had to endure throughout the entirety of their particularly unique relationship. This one is downright amazing. I was sitting up one night right before my SAT the next morning, and I decided to read a little something to help me go to bed, and
oh, goodness.
This is amazing. So the general story of this is that Nick and Judy now live a really happy life, 3 kids, 2 foxes and a bunny, and everything just seems to be going great. Their youngest, a little bunny named Peter, asks Mom and Dad how they met. And so begins the story of how Mom and Dad met. Basically, it has scenes from the present between storytelling, and then whenever they get into the story, it's played like a flashback, and so we kind of get to see what happened right after Zootopia. What makes this extra amazing and extra different is that you get to see just how the discrimination between predators and prey have affected Nick and Judy during their relationship, and also now are affecting and have affected their family. Peter's always getting bullied. Peter's siblings have always been bullied. Nick and Judy have been ridiculed many times for their relationship before it even was a relationship. You really feel the weight of exactly how this discrimination affects people. And it's amazing. Another thing that really sells this for me is the fact that while Peter is going through this and is getting bullied, his siblings are really understanding of Peter and are there to help him out. And I love seeing that. But yeah, it's good. It deserves a read. You should go check it out. Next one. Number 4. Savagery by WildeHoppsOfBakerStreet. Holy crap! It has been just over 10 months since what is... I can't read! It's been just over 10 months since what is now being called the Night Howler debacle. Wait. It's been just over 10 months since what is now being called the Night Howler debacle. Officer Nick Wilde has surprised himself with his turnaround from a confox to an officer of the law, and he owes it all to his partner, Judy. For once he is happy. That is, until an old enemy forces him to go savage and nearly kills his best friend. Holy crap! This story. The general story is Nick and Judy hang out a lot, and they hang out a lot with this original character, Henry Clawhan, who is a detective, and he is one of the coolest characters in this story. He's one of the coolest original characters ever. He's so great. He's sort of their go-to guy for a friendly presence within the halls of the ZPD or something. So it works out amazing. He is such a great character. I love whatever he's on. Oh my gosh. Nick and Judy get a call from Duke Weaselton about a warehouse filled with gang members of a gang that they had recently stopped, so they go to take them down. They get separated. This evil bastard comes and shoots Nick in the face with Night Howler serum, and he goes absolutely bonkers crazy and almost kills Judy. And holy schnitzel, man. My heart was torn as he described Nick being savage. The entire time, Nick was fighting desperately against it. You're just crying the entire time as Nick is trying so hard not to kill Judy, and then loses the battle and hurts Judy, puts some major scars on her body. And Judy's trying super hard not to kill Nick. And I was about ready to bawl by the time this thing was over. Next few chapters, we get to meet the zebra that did all this crap to Nick and Judy. Marvin. He's still super, and I mean so very super evil and intimidating, and will be quite the bad guy for Nick and Judy to deal with. And then we have an amazing chapter that I love personally. Chapter 4 is one of my favorite chapters of the story. Come here, you son of a nut! But yeah, chapter 4 is by far my favorite because everything happens. Nick nearly dies, but survives because of wanting to fight for Judy. Judy tries to go find Nick because she's panicking because she knows that he's dying, and so she gets tranked by a hospital guard who actually didn't want to do it because he was super thankful for what Nick and Judy did for all the predators of Zootopia. The entire time you're being torn apart because Nick is dying at this moment, and so I was about ready to cry. I didn't want Judy to die. I didn't want Judy to die. I didn't want Nick to die. And luckily, everything happened, and he came back. He's alright. Judy finally reaches him whenever he's alive, and they embrace. And while Nick was savage, Judy, thinking this was the end, explained her feelings to Nick to let him know that as soon as he could start remembering that scenario clearly, that Judy Judy forgave him, basically. She wanted to let Nick know that she didn't want Nick to tear himself apart if he had killed Judy, because she had always loved him. And so finally they expressed their feelings in this chapter, which is one of the reasons why it's my favorite. Another reason is because they finally kiss. Where is that? Where is it? It's my favorite. That's actually one I wrote and used, and I was so happy to see in this chapter because it fits so well. You'll find this line in chapter 1 of my story. But it says, "That momentary kiss lasted an eternity." It's one of my favorite lines that I've written because the paradox and the controversy of it fits so well. And it fits so well in this chapter. I couldn't be more happy that it made an appearance in this chapter. And now, final point that makes this so interesting is the fact that now Nick has PTSD. He's gonna freak the flip out anytime he thinks he's hurt Judy. Anytime in this chapter he sees her scars and starts to freak the flip out. So he's gonna there's gonna be this overhead threat of Nick being incapacitated and not actually be able to help Judy when that is what he's most afraid about. It's gonna be great. It's gonna work so well, and I am going to cry a lot as I write. I probably won't cry, but I will be just as worried a lot in this story. This is gonna get so good. Number 3, While I'm Away by MouseyWolf. One of the 4 original stories that I read. I wanted to cry by the end of this because it's so good. Let me just read you the summary. It's been a few months since Judy's first case on the CPD. Life is quieter now, and everything is good just the way it is. However, when Judy goes away for a week to a small festival in her hometown, both she and Nick begin to ponder how their friendship has grown, and if they mean more to each other than they originally thought. This story's so great! This was one of the main stories I was so happy was updating whenever I found it. Nick and Judy banter, that's great. But what sells it is that once she leaves, it's either one chapter can be all about Judy and one chapter is all about Nick, and the entire time they are just dealing with all the emotional crap that's going on. Judy doesn't feel quite at home in her hometown. Nick is starting to second guess himself about what he really wants in life. Judy decides that she just has, a crush on Nick, and so that it helps her get over her emotional stuff, but she just thinks, it's like a passing fancy. Nick goes and buys a flipping phone just so he could text Judy because that's how much he misses them, and eventually they both realize how much they mean to each other. And by the end of this chapter, they get together, and it's completed, and there's a sequel called While I'm With You. It's only 2 chapters in. It needs to be updated because I need more of this story, but oh my gosh, this is just, my lord, it's amazing. It has such great little bits like this in chapter 7. This was far more complicated than Nick thought it would be at first. It seemed so simple. Everything was laid out to him in a way that seemingly couldn't be misinterpreted. Yet here he was, everything in front of him was a muddled mess. Nick underestimated the complexity of it. He hated the fact that this was getting the best of him. He'd gotten over so much in his life, he'd gotten through his childhood, he'd survived the streets as a con artist, and nearly died a few times on the Nighthawk case, and so much more. But now, how could a phone be so hard to grasp? That there, I laughed out loud after I read that. That was a brilliant idea of how to start this. So flipping brilliant. And chapter 7 and 8 end similarly with Nick saying he's going to send a text with, "Hey Carrots, I think I love you," and Nick and Judy saying whenever she gets back she's just going to come out and say, "And Nick Wilde, I think I'm in love with you." It's just this is so... The emotional turmoil between both characters, you need to go read it. Just go read it. Go read it! Go! Shoo, after you finish this video, of course, but go! Shoo, read it! Oh, so great. So amazing. We're getting on the final 2. Here we go. Always My Sly Bunny, Always My Dumb Fox by Cimar Turalis WildeHopps. Now, Cimar Turalis has been super duper helpful with his reviews on The Strongest Bonds, and it's been so much fun writing 100 Kisses with him. It really has. But this story, Judy and Nick are nigh inseparable and have become standard bearers for peace between predator and prey in Zootopia. Though with a high profile in the ZPD, they have become high profile targets themselves. If the evil that looms in the dark recesses of the city manages to tear their relationship apart, will the rest of Zootopia crumble with it? Starts off with a beautiful, adorable, heart-melting prologue with a Grandpa Fox and his cute little fox and bunny grandchildren. So different, because each scenario, each chapter, is developed in full. You don't just get sort of a glimpse of what happened. You get like a whole chapter, a whole detailed and actually fun to read chapter about them going to find evidence. This could very well be Zootopia 2 with how well it's written. It's just great. There's new Night Howler stuff. Nick and Judy have to be in a safe house because whoever is doing this is targeting them specifically. But what's even better is that in the most recent chapter, Nick and Judy have their first kiss, and Judy doesn't know what to do! Does Nick hate her now? Does Nick actually love her? Is Nick too uncomfortable being around her? Does Nick want her to be closer? I've never wanted to smack Judy so hard in my life just because I ship them hard, but that's exactly what would happen with a bunny like Judy. This isn't something she does regularly. She doesn't go around kissing anyone, let alone foxes. And so now she has no idea what Nick's thinking. So, this has quite a huge audience. 454 follows and 309 faves. So, if you're one of the few people who haven't read this yet, go read it! And if you have read it, read it some more! Finally, number 1. Unnatural by Hilbur14. I hope I pronounced that name correctly. Now, Unnatural is the very first Zootopia fanfiction I actually read. And
goodness.
life in Zootopia is about as normal and peaceful as it gets, apart from the chaos caused by Nick and Judy, of course. But tensions are high from recent events, and the unlikely duo is going to be put through a test beyond their comprehension. Their friendship is seen as wrong, and enemies want it to end. They must do everything to keep each other safe, but fate has other plans. If you ship Nick and Judy, or you like the thought of Nick and Judy being in a relationship, then this story will tear your heart into a million tiny pieces in a great way. The main antagonist, Fiona Hunt. I hate her guts. But I loved her enough that my main antagonist, Alex Hunt, shared a name with her, but that was not really on purpose. I was trying to think of a good evil name, and Hunter came to mind, and then I gave him his alter ego, Alex Hunt. And I actually based a character off of Fiona, but less evil, named Vivian Rose, or Vivian Fifi Rose, as you'll see in chapters 3, 6, and 7 of Strongest Bonds. What Fiona does, anytime she's around Nick and Judy, Nick's instincts start to kick in. He can't think straight. He becomes incapacitated. And he almost always chooses her side over Judy's. Because of this tears apart Nick and Judy's relationship. To the point where Judy doesn't want to have anything to do with Nick. Even, on the outside. On the inside, she's super hurt and still wants Nick to be friends with Nick, but with Fiona around, it's just not going to happen. This story gave me a sick feeling in the pit of my stomach in a good way. I could not trust Nick in this story. I would never be able to trust Nick in this story. Because as long as Fiona's around, he could easily turn on Judy and not even mean to. And just because of that, oh my gosh, so good. Animals are acting savage. They are doing this of their own choice just because they feel like the whole of Zootopia is unnatural, as the story suggests. Basically, they're trying to bring predators and prey back to their perfect ways. Back to predator destroying and eating and maiming and mauling prey, and prey hiding and cowering. That's the whole reason behind the attacks, as far as I'm told. And there are certain prey mammals that are being attacked because of a certain thing that you'll have to go read for yourself, because I'm not gonna spoil it. But as of right now, on the most recent chapter, Danger, Nick finally realizes that Fiona's evil because Fiona starts to, kidnaps him and puts a muzzle on him, so finally I can probably maybe trust Nick, but just, my gosh, so good! You need to read this one! Go! Get it done! Shoo! So anyway, those... Dang it, it's moving around because of my stuff. So anyway, those are my top 10 personally recommended, what is this called? Zootopia FanFictions, as you see over here, top 10 Zootopia fanfiction thing. So you need to go read those if you already haven't, or if you have, you need to go read them some more, like I said. Because all of these are incredibly written, their stories are amazing, and they have so much potential. But get English right. I'll leave an end card for them. They're down in the description below. I'll put a link to my profile down on the bottom, so you can also go see my favorite stories and some of my favorite authors as well. Go read these stories. Go show those authors some love. I mean, seriously, people. These guys are great. They're amazing. Go do it now. Okay, good. You're gonna go do it? Good. Good on you. Anyway, I hope you all enjoyed. If you did, why not hit the like button, share this with your friends, and if you're new here, why not consider subscribing? Also remember, stay tuned for more gameplays, animations, other cool videos like this that I may have in store for you. See ya!
Gee golly, Batman. What are we doing here?
I'm not doing anything. I'm in a maze. Because I'm Batman.
Sorry about that. I accidentally pressed escape instead of tab.
Shh. No! Oh, come on!
I don't want to battle you again. Oh, this is crap.
God.